Okay, so now we're a little bit closer. You can see this is our Value Pack brushes here, and it is made by One Stroke, the Folk Art. I'm going to flip it over so you can actually see that better. Folk Art One Stroke. And these here, my friends, are our paints, multi-surface paint. So you've got your multi-surface paint here. Now, we do have a double loader. I don't have it right now because it is in my car. So I'm just using a plate, and I think what I'm going to try to do is make sure that this camera doesn't flare. So before we get started here, I am just going to put some paint out. Now I am using Moon Yellow and Fuchsia. Well, I say I'm using Moon Yellow. Hold on. Hold on. Let me get some more paint. There we go. I'm sorry, y'all. I was at a festival over the weekend, and my paint's not in the right space. So there's my Moon Yellow right here. Now, I didn't show you this before. Our paint is it's multi-surface, so you can use it on glass, wood, and tin. Okay, so let me put some paint out here. So I've got some Moon Yellow, and I'm using some Fuchsia here so you can see what I'm doing. All right, so first things first, got your paint here. Ooh, that's gonna focus good. Good. Got your paint here, you put it in there, you give it a little tap. Okay, see how that flattens out? Now you take and you wet your brush, then you put it over here and you put it on a paper towel and you let the excess water drain out of it. All right, let's see if we can get that. There we go. Okay, see how there's water in there? You're letting the excess paint or the excess water drain out of there. Now mine's been sitting for a few minutes, so I'm going to kind of push a little bit harder. All right, just there we go. Just because mine's been sitting in the water. Usually you just lay it and you're done. All right, so double loading. So what we're doing here is double loading basically means we got two colors of paint on our brush at the same time. Now with One Stroke, we do it a little bit differently. All right, so we're dipping one corner of the brush in here. See how that's split? That'll go away. And one over here. So what we're doing, and now your brush needs to be straight up and down, but I'm going to turn this so you can see it better. So we're back and forth and 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 back and forth. You're going to do this about 15 times, okay? You're putting some pressure on there, all right? All right, so what you see I've got here now. If you could see here, let me get the glare off of there. No, you can't really see that. Hold on. Let me get it to where you can see it. There we go. Now you can see that better. See now how it goes from bright yellow down to your Fuchsia here. This side over here. It looks more separated than what it truly is. Okay. And look at, you're going to have a good amount of paint on there. See that amount of paint on there? You're going to have a good amount of paint on this brush. So I'm going to do it a couple more times. Just make sure I got it in there. Make sure you're doing back and forth pretty good. Okay. All right. So there you go. You got that nice and blended. Now I'm going to sit this off to the side. But every time you see me move away from my paper, that's where I'm going. So what I'm going to do is we start with our brush handle straight up and down. Okay. So That way, if you would actually take and just let go of it, it would stand. All right. So let me wipe that off of there real quick. Now we're going to do the shell stroke. So you're going to start with, you're going to put a V here and a V there. Okay, V, V. You see that? Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to do a starter stroke. 1, 2, 3, because you're blending your paint right there. And then we're going to wiggle, 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 and stand up. Now see how you got a shape there? It looks like a V. I'm gonna zoom in just a little bit more here. Get you a little bit closer so you can see that. All right, let's do this again. V. 1, 2, 3. Wiggle, 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 and stand up. Now see how that looks like a seashell? One more time. 1, 2, 3. Wiggle, 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 and up. Now see how it looks like a seashell? Now I'm getting that because I'm running out of paint on my brush. So I'm just going to wipe this off. This is freezer paper that I'm using, by the way, which is nice because it has a little plastic coating on there so you can wipe it off and do it again. So I'm going to come over here. I'm going to get more paint. 1, 2. And when you're getting more paint, you've already got it loaded on the inside, so you're just going to go flat, flat, and that's picking up paint. So you still got a good amount of paint on there. So we're going to do a V again. We're going to do our shell stroke. So we have our V. 1, 2, 3. Wiggle, 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 wiggle. And there you go. Now, see how that looks nice and blended? Kind of turn that just a little bit. Now, see how that's nice and blended in here? Okay. Do one more. And up. Okay. So you've got a nice blended. Now, as you see here, this is a little deeper, a little richer. That's a little more washed out. It's because I didn't go back and get paint. So we're going to start with our V. 1, 2, 3. Wiggle, 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 and up on your chiseled edge. Okay. And that one's not too awful big. Over here. One more time. One more time. We're going to flip it straight up and down, push, 1, 2, 3, wiggle, 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 and there's your seashell shape. Now, as you can see, this was the first one. See how vivid that is? That was the second one. Now look here, I'm losing all my color because most of my color is gone on my brush. See that? So what we're going to do is come back over here. We're going to get some more paint. We're going to do yellow, and here we go. I'm going to come up here. Hold on. I did it backwards, so I just wiped that off. I'm going to do wiggle. 1, 2, 3. Wiggle, 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 and stand straight up. Lift up. See how you've got that shell shape? And what I mean by shell shape is I'm going to do it with one of these. What I mean by shell shape is this. You've got this, you've got this, you've got this. Okay, so when you're done, it kind of looks like a scallop shell. All right, so what I tell people is if you're having a hard time with this, okay, we're going to, you know what, we're going to stop.